Hi everybody, welcome to the WikiLeak-a-Day Show. This is December 24th. Today we've got some great cables for you. Let's get right to it. The first one is 08 Madrid from 2008. Subject, Spain counterterrorism, charges meeting with Ministry of Interior Chief of Staff. The charge, that would be the person, the charge d'affaires, who is an embassy official there in Madrid, accompanied by the Econoff, some other guy from the embassy, met with Gregorio Martinez, Chief of Staff to Interior Minister Rubalcaba on May 9th. Charge stressed the need for better interagency cooperation in Spain in the fight against terrorism. Another note here, Barakat Yarkas, who was accused but not convicted of participating in the planning of September 11th, it says here that he had financed terrorist cells from his jail cell. Well, we'll take a look at that in one of the next cables. Martinez, who is an Interior Ministry Chief of Staff, said that he would provide information on what happened. Basically, this is a meeting with this Chief of Staff of the Interior Ministry in Spain. The charge agreed with this assessment, although he suggested there remained room for improvement in Spain with respect to better coordination between the different police agencies. The article that came out in El País said that this Barakat guy might have been funding terrorism from inside his jail cell. Martinez, the possibly maybe even a mole inside the Spanish government for the U.S., said that the article was probably a fabrication. The U.S. government has been pressing Spain to designate Barakat Yarkas for several years as a terrorist, whatever. Martinez responded by saying that a designation would not have made a practical difference in preventing this alleged financing of terrorism from inside his jail cell. Econoff countered by pointing out that a designation would have frozen Yarkas' assets, so presumably he would not have been able to receive and cash, if that is what happened, 2 checks worth over 50,000 euros. And a note here, Gregorio Martinez has been a good embassy contact for several years and also is a former international visitor to the U.S. Martinez told the charge that he would remain in his position for the time being. Kind of curious here. Is he a source, a mole? Is his participation in this kind of meeting approved by his chief, the Ministry of the Interior? What is this International Visitor Program? Well, here it is. International Visitor Leadership Program from the U.S. Department of State. It's the Department of State's premier professional exchange program, launched in 1940. Its professional exchange program seeks to build mutual understanding between the U.S. and other nations through carefully designed short-term visits to the U.S. for current and emerging foreign leaders. These visits reflect the professional interests of these individuals and support the foreign policy goals of the United States. Yeah, mutual understanding. You understand the U.S., you feed us info, and, we'll get that mutual thing going on. Can I apply to become an international visitor? No. They select you. It's a little fishy. On to our next cable, 09MADRID255 from March of 2009. Again, on this Barakat Yarkas character. Spain, status report on Yarkas jailed Al-Qaeda cell leader. Well, apparently all he was convicted of was being a member of a terrorist organization. So, summary, this cable provides an update on recent embassy attempts to engage government in Spain on designation of Barakat Yarkas, aka Abu Dada, the convicted leader of the Al-Qaeda cell in Spain. The issue remains unresolved and has taken a twist following the allegations beginning in April 2008 that Yarkas was involved in financing terrorism from his jail cell during 2006-2007. 3-judge panel suspended the prosecution of the case, which was formally closed. However, the Spanish magistrate who presided over Yarcus' original trial recently hinted to embassy officials that government of Spain investigations in this matter, whether for the purpose of the suspicious transactions or for broader reasons, are either ongoing or may soon be resumed. Yarcus was convicted in 2005 and sentenced to 12 years for membership in a terrorist organization. Just membership will get you 12 years? I don't know about that. And 15 years for conspiring to commit terrorist murder on September 11, 2001. Although in 2006, the Supreme Court of Spain, citing lack of admissible evidence, overturned that conviction. And here is an interesting note. 2009, Embassy Madrid attempted to re-engage government of Spain on the years-long U.S. government interest in having Spain designate Yarcus assets as, funding terrorism or potentially. On January 15th, an advisor to the Deputy Interior Minister told Paulov, whatever that is, the embassy, I guess, you, quote unquote, you didn't hear it from me, but the Ministry of Interior agrees completely that Yarcus should be designated, unquote. Advisors suggest that embassy should approach the minister on this matter. Is this the same guy from, this other cable, this international visitor program participant? And, if it is the government of Spain really happy about this guy talking to the U.S. embassy like this? This Yarcus may or may not have participated in funding of terrorist acts. It's just not clear from this information. On a final note, the magistrate further remarked that as a naturalized Spanish citizen, Yarcus will not be deported after completing his sentence, which ends in 2013, and will be free to live in Spain if he so chooses. If so, Gomez Bermudez suggested Yarcus would likely be monitored by government of Spain security forces. Real nice. He did his time. He's a naturalized citizen, but they're gonna keep an eye on him. That's real nice. All right, next one, 08 Madrid, another one from Madrid, 294 from 2008. Subject: Treasury Deputy Secretary Kimmitt's meeting with Spanish Secretary of State for Security Antonio Camacho. The Deputy Secretary outlined recent FATF and maybe UN Security Council actions highlighting the danger of operations with Iranian banks that were financing illicit proliferation of terrorist actions. We've covered this before. Nag, the U.S. government trying to break ties between Iranian banks and banks in other countries. For example, we covered a leak about them doing this in the UK. They're trying to isolate Iran. You can see evidence of it here. If there's something illicit going on, that's the business of the banks that have these connections with the Iranian banks. And, just back out of it. I mean, the U.S. government is so pushy. He noted that, this is the Deputy Secretary, the U.S. guy. He noted that two Spanish banks, Santander and Sabadell, maintained correspondent relations with Iranian banks. In response to Camacho's defense of Santander's cooperation, that's the bank, on terrorist finance issues, he explained that any operations with Iranian banks exposed the Spanish banks to possible unwitting involvement in illicit transactions. I'm scared. They're just trying to scare the Spanish government. Camacho defended himself, saying that Spain has caught more so-called terrorists than any other European country. He said that Al-Qaeda was always, the Spanish guy was always referring to recovering El Andalus, the Arabic name for the Iberian territory. The Arabs had held for hundreds of years. That's in the southern part of Spain, which was a battleground between Christianity and Islam for some time. All these kind of parallels with that time when it was, the Crusades and the Muslims and the Moors and all that. It's a little bit out of place. I thought we would get past this. A couple hundred years from there, they're going to look back and place this period of time together with that period of time, several hundred years ago. Is this just another part of the Crusades? Deputy Secretary noted that Iran was a state sponsor of terrorism with budget line items that supported Middle Eastern terrorist groups, or for them they might be resistance groups, that also had activities in Europe, the US, and elsewhere. He said that Iran's central bank, Bank Markazi, coordinated the involvement by state-owned banks in illicit activities. There's kind of a little threat. He had no doubt that Santander, that's the bank, one of the Spanish banks, would end any suspicious operations that it found without the need for government of Spain involvement. Wow. And the Deputy Secretary insists the only way to avoid the possibility of being misled by Iran was to end these banking correspondent relationships. Nag, nag, nag. Next up, another one from Madrid, 06MADRID255 from 2006. Subject, disrupting external financing to the Taliban, operational cooperation with Spain. Summary, the initiative on disrupting external financing to the Taliban could help induce the government of Spain to re-energize the fight against Taliban financing, among other reasons because Spain has some 600 soldiers deployed in Afghanistan. But as the September 2nd El País article made clear, there are doubts, including among senior government of Spain officials, regarding the efficacy of the fight against terrorism finance, especially designations, of certain individuals as terrorist financiers. We should continue to expend energy on getting Al-Qaeda financier Barakat Yarkas, again this guy pops up, designated. This should be relatively easy as he has already been convicted of membership in a terrorist organization. Same issues as the other ones. Final note, assuming Spanish participation would be welcome, Embassy would be willing to encourage Spanish participation in the envisioned December workshop on charities. In other words, there have been cases where charities, Muslim charities or charities that help people in Muslim countries, have been accused of funding terrorism. The workshop may want to bill itself as dealing with a broader range of organizations than quote-unquote charities. Yeah, because that just wouldn't come off well for PR. The Spaniards tell us that there are few, if any, Islamic charities per se operating in Spain. There are, however, mosques that engage in charitable activities. Spanish National Policy completed a survey of the approximately 600 mosques in Spain. And it may be worthwhile having a Spaniard discuss the results of this work. A census of the mosques. I wonder how the people in the mosques feel about that. Next up, 09MADRID417. Our final cable of the day from 2009. Subject, Internet piracy in Spain. Suspension of private sector negotiations. Why is the U.S. government so hell-bent on getting their way with, their so-called intellectual property scam in Spain? I mean, cable after cable after cable. On April 17th, negotiations between the Association of Internet Service Providers, ISPs, which goes by the name of RedTel, and the Coalition of Creators and Content Industries, which is the people who want the state, the government, to protect their so-called intellectual property, to enforce it for them. They don't want to pay for the enforcement themselves. They can't go to that much trouble. They want the government to take care of it, and they want the individuals, among others, who are accused of violating these specious rights to pay for the enforcement of it. Parties have been meeting regularly for almost a year in an attempt to negotiate an agreement on combating Internet piracy. They had an agreement, but the Motion Picture Association of America, MPAA, wasn't happy with it. They weren't compensated well enough or whatever. It's pretty ridiculous. The government of Spain realizes that it can't, attack individuals over this. Same old story. WikiLeaks from BBC suspect Bradley Manning's health declining. The only person to visit WikiLeaks suspect Bradley Manning in custody, other than his lawyer, says his health has declined in the last few months. They're making him sleep with what are essentially sections of carpet. They won't let him sleep except in his boxer shorts, and he's getting carpet burn. They check on him every 5 minutes if they can't see his face, I guess. And so he's not getting enough sleep. The guy is in bad shape. It's torture. Which brings us to the Bradley Manning support network, bradleymanning.org. Please check this website out and find out how you can stand up in support of Bradley Manning. Either he's innocent or he's a hero. You pick. Cuba has joined Operation Leak Spin and is now publishing the leaks in Spanish on their website, on a government website. I'm not really a member of Anonymous, if you can be anonymous, but I think the leak spin idea is a great idea, and it's inspired this show. Let's get these cables out as much as possible to as many people as possible. I mean, let's just get the truth out there. The CIA has responded to WikiLeaks with the WTF, what the F, task force, WikiLeaks task force. It's a bit silly. And that's the end of our show today. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure if we'll have a show tomorrow, it being Christmas. If there are leaks that come out, I may set aside some time to do another show. If not, we'll be back on... tomorrow's Saturday anyway. We'll be back on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Merry Christmas. Have a great day. And again, you can find the recorded versions of the shows at armyourmind.com.